Hey, I'm Crystal, and I passed the NCLEX-RN, fourth attempt, 150 questions, utilizing my mentor and coach, Kevin Gibson, aka the Boot Nurse. So I found out about Kevin from YouTube. I'm not real heavy on YouTube, but this particular day, I went on YouTube and Kevin's page was the first page that I saw. So he's promoting his 7-day course. So I clicked on it, I watched that video, and I started watching other videos that he had, recent videos, and he is doing questions, going over case studies, and at this point I'm intrigued. So I go find him on Instagram, and same thing, he has case studies on there that he's talking about. He has questions that he's doing. I believe it's every Monday and Friday is the cadence that he does the questions, NCLEX style questions. He also had testimonials on there. So at this point, I really wanted to learn more about his platform, what this 7-day course was about, and what other benefits of his program that he offered. Because I'll be honest, anything NCLEX related, you name it, I had it. Or something that someone told me that worked for them, I purchased it. If I had to estimate it, I probably spent $7,000 to $8,000 worth of NCLEX preparation, as well as Q-Banks, renewing them over and over again. So I DM Kevin and I'm like, hey, I see you have this 7-day course that you've been talking about. Can you tell me more? So he starts telling me about it, and I'm grilling him at this point. Any question that I can think of, I'm trying to find out more, because like I said, I spent a lot of money on a lot of programs. So I wanted to make sure, and yeah, his was affordable, but at the same time, it's still more money that I felt like I was putting out there, that I'm not going to hand you my money and I feel like it's not getting me to that ultimate goal, which is passing that NCLEX, having that license, and moving forward and actually pursuing nursing. Because I graduated in December of 2021. So it's been 2 years that I'm literally not utilizing this degree that I spent a lot of money on. So he's telling me about his program, and he said something that resonated with me. He said that this whole time that we've been talking, you've been telling me how much money you spent, but I haven't heard that you invested anything. So I was like, yeah, I hear you, basically. And then he's like, this is an investment to your future, so you can't look at it as you're wasting all this money. You have to look at it as an investment. So as we're going on, we're talking, I'm also telling him too, like once he told me that he offered private coaching and the price of that, I'm like, hey, I am a single parent. The bills be billing, and I was going through a divorce at the time, a really bad divorce. I had from the course of 2021 until even the weekend before my NCLEX, death. Every time you turn around, someone in my family was dying. That it was just mentally a lot, because it was very much always something happening that I felt like I couldn't catch a break. And as I'm telling Kevin, even though he was very personable, he said something that was really real. And the type of person that I am, I'm very transparent and give it to me raw and uncut. And the fact that he was willing to give it to me raw and uncut, being that I did not know him, spoke volumes to me. He said that everybody has a sad story. So not dismissing everything that you're going through. Sorry to hear that, but you're not the only single parent. You're not the only one who went through the divorce. You're not the only one who encounters death. Like I said, it resonated with me because my grandma will always say to me that the same thing. Everybody has a story, but it's not about the story that you have, it's how you overcome that story. So basically changing the trajectory of that sad story. So hearing him say that to me, I felt like I heard my grandma through him. So we're going on and on. And basically, he's like, you can either do the 7-day course, this is the price, or if you want the mentorship, which is more of like a one-on-one thing, this is the price. Here it is. I'm presenting it to you, but you do what you feel best with it. So another thing that I like with Kevin was the fact that he basically wasn't on this whole pick me vibes. Like, oh, pick me. Like, I got this program. Look, this is what I'm offering. I have these people. Look, they pass with me. Like, go with me type vibe. It was like, hey, this is what I have. Here's the receipts. If you want to hop on board and join, you could. And if you don't, that's okay. You can do this or not go with me at all. And I like that because nobody wants the pick me person. Nobody wants someone who's so pushy that makes you feel like you are basically being pressured to give them money that you don't have, essentially. So my mom is the voice of reasoning for me. And I went to her and I'm like, hey, it's this guy I've been talking to. Found him on YouTube and he told me he had this program. He's basically saying that he's going to coach me and help me pass the NCLEX. At this time, I had already taken it 3 times. So my mom's like, do you know him? I'm like, no. Do you know anybody who utilized him? No. How did you find him? YouTube. So she's like, honestly, you've tried all these things. You put all this money, you put all this effort into it, and it didn't work. So at the end of the day, what is it that you truly have to lose? And in that moment, I was like, you're right. I have nothing else to lose. So let me go ahead, get the money together, and let me invest in myself, as Kevin mentioned to me. So I DM'd him back, and I'm like, hey, I'm ready to move forward. Send me the link. He sends me the link. I pay the price. And from there, he's like, let's hop on a call. That we got on a call. Soon as the money touched the account, is how it felt. Soon as the money hit his account, he was ready to schedule a call, and we were on a call for about 4 or 5 hours. That's how available he made himself from like day one. So I never felt like, where did my money go? He told me how he had a tracker that is going to track my quiz progression. He also told me about how he's going to help me come up with a study plan. He showed me sample study plans within that meeting. So I was able to see like what former students did and kind of like tweak it to fit me and tailor to me. He also showed me different testimonials. Like he also recommended like different podcasts to help motivate me. And it never was, okay, here, come on here, I'm so busy, read this book, that I've gotten from like other programs that I utilized. And the type of learner that I am, I'm more of a visual, hands-on, slight audio. So let me see it, let me apply it or handwrite it, and I can recall it back type of learner that I was. So in that moment, we discussed the type of learner that I was, and Kevin met me where I was. He never tried to change or make me do it in a way that wasn't receptive to me. And that was what was so refreshing compared to other programs that I used, because I'll be honest, like reading a textbook, I can't get jiggy with it. I cannot do it. That it seems like I'm reading a bunch of medical mumbo jumbo that I will go to sleep and I will take a nap. And that's why I couldn't really get with Saunders, because it was just so much medical verbiage. And I felt like with Kevin, he had no problem with saying that if it's not broke, don't fix it. So with his 7-day course that he offered, he had modules that you can go through and you can listen to. And I'll be honest, like I said, that whole over over medical verbiage or over medical mumbo jumbo does not work for me. So I felt like when it came to his platform, the information was good, but I just couldn't take notes from it because it was just too much that I'm really like, sir, what are you talking about? That it was more so better for me in an audio perspective. So I was able to listen to it, but I couldn't transcribe notes from it because it was just too wordy and too much for me. That I use Simple Nursing, which I'm pretty sure most nursing students know of Nurse Mike and his platform and how animated and how short and to the point it is. So when I told Kevin that had him prior to reaching out to him, he was like, cool, if that works for you, go ahead, use it. I showed him some of the videos and he was on board with it. So when it came to the videos, I applied Simple Nursing, and then I also had Archer. So with Archer, I would do the questions or readiness assessments. I didn't too much do the CAT exams. I mostly did, if it wasn't readiness, I did just 85 questions. Or sometimes I would split it up and do 85 questions and turn around and do like another 45 questions to get that 150. But for the most part, I did 85 questions. So with the tracker that I mentioned, Archer has a section where you're able to break down the scores per category and it compares it to the average score. So Kevin has it listed where you can see your progression by putting your score in that category, and from there you would highlight it. Either it would be red, like a mustard yellow, or green. So the areas that I had red, he would tell me like, hey, make sure you go and you review this. So the accountability was definitely great. And it was even sometimes where I got super busy because I still work full time. And someone at my job actually quit, that I was working, instead of 40 hours, I was working like a good 60 hours a week. So trying to implement study within those 60 hours a week, that I couldn't always abide by the schedule that him and I had put together. And he had no problem with saying, hey, it's me again, so about that quiz. Anytime I saw his name popped up, it felt like you're getting in trouble with your teacher and you have to explain why you're not doing something with your teacher, is how it felt. And he's like, ma'am. And anytime I saw that, hey, ma'am, I already knew what it was. I knew what it was. It was me not being accountable for what we talked about, and he was calling me out on it. So I would even try to change the subject, like, hey, how's it going? And he's like, yeah, that's cute, but about that quiz that you're supposed to do, or about that readiness assessment, like, where are we with it? So there's no time ever in this process that I had to chase him down, which felt amazing to have that one-on-one. And with Kevin and his program, I can honestly say that he knew everything about you. So never, when you're dealing with like people on their platforms and when it's so big, it's hard to give that one-on-one approach to people when you have such a big platform, because you outgrow that personal aspect of your program because you don't have the time or you don't have the manpower to be able to give that one-on-one attention. So with Kevin, he only takes about 5, maybe 6 students a month, and from there each student have their own tailored process, and from there he meets you where you are, tweaks and perfects where you need to, and then when you're ready to test, like, he let you know. We met weekly, which was great for me because with me already having the experience being a repeat test taker, I didn't need someone to hold my hand every day or meet with someone every day. And with Kevin, Not saying that he wasn't willing to, but it just wasn't what I needed. He was there for me the way that I needed. And I feel like meeting with him weekly up until I took my test was all that I needed. And we talked pretty much every day or every other day. And even when I would score, so at first I would score in like it was like mid 50s. And then from there I started scoring in the 60s. Then I stayed consistent in the 60s. And he would even like reach out to me and say, ma'am, who do you think you are? So just that encouragement, you know, when you feel like, because like I said, he had the 3 categories the 3 color, where it was red, yellow, and green. So of course you want to see mostly green. You don't want to see a whole bunch of red. So even though it was moments where I felt like, oh, I'm not doing good, or, you know, look at my scores, and he's like, yeah, look at your scores, but overall, it's still an RN. Still an RN. That he created a section when we were on that call that said RN, yes or no, or something of the sort. So him creating that column that said that I was able to put RN after every test, even when I was scoring like between 55 until I started getting in the mid to high 60s, even 70 at one point. Seeing that RN consistently, it was like, okay, so what I'm doing, that momentum, it was building up. It was great. I felt like also too, when we met, if I had questions about the rationales, because I did have some rationales that just wasn't that clear, he was willing to break down the questions with me, which was great, and help bring in that perspective that I didn't necessarily catch when I read the rationale, because everybody know, especially if you're a repeat test taker, you know that Archer has come a long way. At one point, their rationales used to be so vague. So the fact that it's came a long way, but they still do have some questions that the rationales are very vague, that I feel like Kevin was able to bring it home for me. And I feel like that gave my confidence, like, took it to another level. I spoke with Kevin on Friday, February 1st. So I spoke with him on February 1st, and he's basically asking me if I have any questions and like what I needed to do to kind of like go up to like leading up to my test, like what the next steps were. And when I was talking to him and letting him know when he's addressing the questions and all of that, he gave me like, you know, I don't have to tell you, like, your numbers show you put in the work. You already a nurse. It's yours. It's your time. You got this. He sent so much encouragement through like messages, all of that. And it was what I needed to hear. And no time leading up to my test was I nervous. I was not nervous at all. And this was the first time that I've taken this test that I walked in there and I wasn't a nervous wreck. I was not a nervous wreck. I felt like it's showtime is how it felt. And leading up to that, you know, I did soft review. He told me to do one more quiz, and I actually did a readiness exam, and it said I had a low chance. Mind you though, I wasn't that far off from what the average was, but I was a couple points below it, so I guess that's why I said I had a low chance. But it was still in the 60s. I think the average was 62, and I had like a 58 or 59 or something like that. So it really wasn't that far off. And Kevin had seen it, and I didn't know he saw it at the time. And he was like, yeah, it said 58, 59, but it's still an RN, so don't worry about it. Even though I wasn't worried about it, but just him reassuring me, don't worry about it, was good to hear, because most people who take, whether it's a quiz or a readiness assessment, right up until they test, it's like make or break, because if you don't get the results that you feel like you should be getting right before your test, it can discourage you if you let it. So just having Kevin like, yeah, don't worry about that, you good, you got this, what I needed to hear. And something that Kevin doesn't know, because I didn't tell him, on Sunday before my test, I actually worked. I went into work on Sunday and worked for like 4 or 5 hours. Don't tell him I told you. But I did. I went to work. And I still felt calm. Like I was doing my passive listening. I also was reviewing like any notes that I had. And the day of my test, I woke up at 4 a.m. The notes that I had, I basically made like a cheat sheet. And mind you, none of that stuff was on my test. But again, you never know. So I made like a cheat sheet to take with me when I tested. This testing center that I went to was my first time going there. So I get in the car, I call myself trying to review, but it wasn't enough time because my test was at 8 o'clock and I was trying to make sure I had enough time, that I wasn't rushing, that I go to the bathroom, all that stuff. So I really only had like maybe 10 minutes. So at that point, I'm like, hey, it is what it is. I said a prayer. I felt good. I went in there. And something that Kevin always said when it came down to the questions, because there's a section in the tracker that says how much time you spent on a quiz or a readiness assessment. And in the beginning, I used to spend like maybe 60, 70, maybe 100, 110 minutes. And he would say, where you going? What's the rush? Read the question. And that was my biggest problem. I would not read the question, and I was big on second guessing, and I was big on adding to questions. So him just getting me out of that habit, and like, that's not what it said. Don't add that. Read it. Read it again. Read it again. You still don't understand. Then you go to the questions, to the answer choices, and you try to read the answer choices, and then go to the questions again and see if you can maneuver through what is the right answer. And that helped me a lot because I was so big on second guessing. And then when I would go back and read the rationale, I would be like, I knew that. And I second guessed myself. That he was like, why do you think you do that? Because you're not reading. So when I actually started taking my time in reading, my numbers skyrocketed when it came to my quizzes. And when it came to like my assessments, like my scores went up drastically. So in my mind, I heard the whole time Kevin saying, what's the rush? Where you going? That I took my time, like literally, I had like 5 minutes left. 5 minutes left. And this was the first time that I have ever had 5 minutes left when taking the test. Like I've always had like maybe 2.5 hours left, something like that. Just the momentum that I had, like I never felt like I was exhausted, none of that. So Kevin made a joke like, watch your test go off at 85 questions. It didn't. So once 85 hit and it kept going, I'm like, okay. So I'm going, then next time you know it's 100, then next time you know it's like 110. So at that point, I'm like, all right, I'm probably going all the way to 150. And I was okay with that. So I took the breaks when needed. I stretched. I went to the bathroom. I said a prayer. And I was good. So it really felt that I was like pretty much prepared. Mind you, it was some questions that had me go back and forth for a little minute. But for the most part, I felt prepared. Like it felt at one point, these questions are too easy, that I'm like, either I'm cocky or just over prepared. And I can honestly say Kevin in his program, like literally, when I'm with you till you pass as a person, I'm with you till you pass as a person. Because even after my exam, because I tested tested for Georgia, and Georgia's a little different compared to other states. Like, I'm not sure, other states may do this, but Georgia, compared to Florida, where I'm from, Florida mails everything. Georgia is electronic. So I was supposed to meet with Kevin on Wednesday, and we were supposed to look at the results together. But I got my results a little over 12 hours later. Like, they sent it to me in an email, sorry. Sent it to me in an email. I text Kevin. I was like, hey, it's me again. Because prior to me getting the results, I tried the piercing trick, and I guess it doesn't work anymore. But I got this weird pop-up. It didn't do the whole my card decline thing, but it says something about check my card or something like that. And when I went to TikTok, a lot of people who got that same weird pop-up said that they passed. So it made me nervous, and I reached out to Kevin. He texted me back immediately and told me, whatever it is that I'm looking at, stop it. Like, I'm psyching myself out, relax. So when I'm like, hey, it's me again, I'm pretty sure he was like, girl, what do you want now? But he's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, yeah, I just got an email from the Georgia board. And he was like, and what did it say? So I sent him the screenshot, and literally he was like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, the encouragement kept going, and he called me actually, like, I want to say maybe like 5 or 10 minutes later. He called me, and we talked for a good amount of time. Like, and prior to that, after the test, we had a call, and I told him how I felt. But I can't say that I felt super confident, being that, oh yeah, like, I know I passed. Like, I didn't feel like I know I passed, but I didn't feel like, damn, I bombed it either. So talking to him right after my exam, and then once I got the actual results, like, it just was such a surreal feeling. And then just talking on like what's next to come. So that's another thing. I feel like Kevin and his program is worth so much more, because yeah, he helps you get through the NCLEX, but also we started talking about what the next steps are, like what my plans are, and him helping me. So that's where the mentorship really kicked in. And not downing anybody else's program, but you're not getting that. They're not mentoring you. They're not working one-on-one with you. They don't know you personally. You don't get their phone number, like his personal cell phone number, that I can call him up right now. Like, hey, Kev, like, really, it went from me dealing with a man that I did not know to that's big bro. Like, anybody, and I kid you not, and I'm not even like an overly emotional person like that, but just, I'm trying not to cry, but to have like somebody who you don't know believe in you more than people who you actually do know speaks volumes. In this program, you can't even put a dollar amount. Like, it's something in Kevin that's just, oh gosh. I said I was gonna cry, but it's something in Kevin that is just, you can't, how genuine of a person that he is. That's not something that you could be, you learn that. Like, that's something that you taught, and it's either you have it or you don't. And Kevin is so solid. This program, like, it's nothing scam about him. Like, he's truly passionate. Like, if you can only see the behind the scenes of the efforts that he put into helping nursing students pass. Like, from day one, he told me I was a nurse. Not that I didn't know that I was a nurse, I just didn't have the license. But he spoke that into me from the first time I met him. We started a week before Christmas. So literally, it was like about 5-6 weeks that I worked with him. 5 or 6 weeks. And I was able to pass the NCLEX. So I say this to say, let me wrap it up before, because I'm not a cute crier. But he is, Kevin, the boot nurse. This program is, like I said, it's so worth it. Because the fact that I spent 2 years doing everybody program, everybody's platform. Had I found him 2 years ago, I probably would have passed a long time ago, but in due timing. Everybody has their timing, everybody has their season. However, it's not, don't give up. Do not give up. And I know everybody say, like, if I can do it, you can do it too. I'm not here to say if I can do it, you can do it too. You could do it if you put that work in. Put that work in and trust the process and be coachable and let Kevin guide you. And I feel like I was able to relate to him because he passed on his 4th attempt and so did I. So at this point, let's get to work, as Kevin would say. Either you're going to do it or you're not. And 4th attempt, I'm here to tell you, registered nurse, worked full time, worked like 60 hours a week, studied till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I have a 6-year-old daughter, single parent, limited help, and literally anything you could think of that was in the way tried to come my way, but I was able to overcome it with Kevin's guidance. So if you're confused, you don't know where to start, you don't know what you're doing wrong, reach out to Kevin. Schedule a call with him. Let him look at your CPR, tweak and refine, and I guarantee you he'll help get you that pass. I'm here to tell y'all this is not a paid promotion. Kevin did not pay me to say nice things about him. This is 100% all facts based off my true experience, my true story, my true testimony of me passing the NCLEX 4th attempt. 150 questions, went all the way. Boot nurse. And Kevin, we trust. Thank you for listening to my story. Nurse out.